All right, so if you caught the Super Bowl this year, you probably saw the first shots fired in what looks like the next big AI war. But what if I told you that whole multi-million-dollar ad fight was just a massive distraction? I mean, right now, the whole tech world is caught up arguing about whether AI should even have ads. But that whole debate, it completely misses the real underlying problem. This whole thing accidentally exposed a deep structural flaw, and it's a flaw that has nothing to do with ads. So here's the rundown of the drama, right? You had Anthropic running these cheeky, satirical ads basically making fun of AI advertising. And boom, OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, hits back, calling them dishonest. Then, to top it all off, an OpenAI researcher actually resigns over privacy concerns, totally worried about how an ad-based model would start using our private chats. The whole thing it blew up. Okay, but the real story here isn't the Twitter drama. It's the fact that the ads themselves are just laughably bad. I mean, truly terrible. And that poor quality points to something much deeper, a fundamental weakness in how AI understands language. And that weakness? It's costing companies billions of dollars. So let's back up a bit. Even before the official ads started rolling out, users began noticing, well, some really weird promotional messages popping up. You'd have people deep in these super technical conversations, and suddenly, ChatGPT would just butt in with a completely random ad. This whole thing got a name, the Peloton problem. And that right there is the million-dollar question, or I guess the half-a-trillion-dollar question. How on earth does one of the world's most advanced AIs confuse a deep technical discussion about cybersecurity with someone needing to hop on an exercise bike? The answer to that question, well, it reveals pretty much everything. Okay, so let's break down the AI's so-called logic here. The user mentions they're working through a problem with something called BitLocker encryption. Now, the AI has no idea what encryption actually means. It just sees the keywords working and problem, and its pattern matcher brain connects those words to, you guessed it, fitness motivation. It's not thinking, it's just playing a high-tech game of word association. And this right here is the absolute core of the issue. This Peloton problem isn't some simple bug you can just patch and fix. No, it's a fundamental feature of how these large language models are built. They are designed from the ground up to match patterns, not to actually understand what anything means. And look, this isn't me just picking on OpenAI. This is an industry-wide problem. What you're seeing is the state of the art for pretty much any AI you use today. It's like having a giant dictionary with every word in it, but absolutely no clue how to string them together into a meaningful sentence. You know, a misplaced ad for a Peloton is kind of funny, right? It's embarrassing for the company, but whatever. But now, imagine taking that exact same flawed logic and plugging it into a major corporation to make real-world, high-stakes decisions. Suddenly, the consequences go from just embarrassing to incredibly, incredibly costly. This is basically an invisible tax that businesses are paying every single day. Gartner actually looked into this and found that the average organization loses around $15 million a year just because their different departments and systems can't agree on what basic words mean. You drop a pattern-matching AI into that mess, you're just pouring gasoline on the fire. And if you zoom out, it gets even crazier. McKinsey estimates that the total cost across all industries is over $3.1 trillion every single year. And it all stems from the exact same problem as that Peloton ad. When the word revenue in the marketing system means something totally different from revenue in the finance system, an AI that's just guessing based on patterns is guaranteed to make some very expensive mistakes. So what's the outcome of all this? Well, you get this. A study from MIT found that a shocking 95% of enterprise AI pilot projects fail. They deliver zero return on investment. And why? It's because they can't handle the messy, complex, context-heavy reality of business data. These systems look great in a demo, but they fall apart in the real world for the exact same reason that ChatGPT tried to sell a bike to a cybersecurity expert. Okay, so if pattern matching is the problem, what's the solution? Well, it turns out there's this critical piece of the puzzle that almost nobody in the mainstream AI debate is talking about. It's a hidden layer of infrastructure that basically gives the AI a brain, letting it go from just guessing to actually knowing. And that layer has a name. It's called an ontology. Now, I know it's not as flashy as a new language model, but trust me, it is infinitely more important for building AI that you can actually rely on. The best way to think about it is like a rule book of meaning for the machine. It's where you formally define what things are, what they can do, and how they relate to everything else.
So, an ontology basically does three super important things. First, it provides crystal clear definitions. So, a customer in the finance system is defined precisely and differently than a customer in the marketing system. No more confusion. Second, it takes all that unwritten knowledge in a company and makes it explicit, like all purchases over $10,000 need manager approval. And third, and this is the big one, it lets the AI actually reason using these concepts instead of just matching keywords.
So really, this leaves the entire AI industry at a fork in the road with two very different paths forward. Path number one is what we're mostly doing now, building AI without a brain that just guesses its way through tasks. Yeah, it's fast to get a demo up and running, but it's super fragile. Then there's path two, building AI with a brain, grounded in an ontology. It's definitely harder to build up front, but the result is reliable, explainable, and it's the only way to make this stuff actually work at scale. So you see, this whole fight over Super Bowl ads, it's just theater. The real battle, the one that truly matters, is happening behind the scenes. And it's a battle over whether we're going to build AI that can actually think or just AI that's really good at mimicking. And this has huge implications for, well, for pretty much everyone. So let's break down what this means for you. If you're a regular ChatGPT user, the real risk isn't seeing an ad. It's using an AI that can't tell the difference between a sensitive context, like a research paper on depression, and an actual cry for help. If you're an enterprise builder or CTO, the takeaway is simple. You have to solve this meaning problem first, or your AI projects are doomed to join that 95% failure rate. And for all you developers out there, look, prompt engineering is a moment in time. The real high-value skill for the next decade will be modeling meaning, building these ontologies. So the next time you see a headline about the AI wars, I want you to look right past all the public drama. The real race, the one that's going to define the entire next decade of technology, it isn't about who has the biggest model or the slickest ads. It boils down to a much simpler and, frankly, a much more important question. Does your AI actually understand anything at all?